guys, I am here. We've got a couple of markers out on the ground. You do not have to use markers. You can just use a one step. But what we're going to be doing is a little stop and go exercise where we take one step. I'm going to place the treat on the ground. He's going to get it and then he's going to hopefully look up at me. If he looks up at me, that's going to be my cue to go forward a step. I'm going to put my treat on the ground again. Wait for him to look up at me. The looking up at me is going to be the cue to go. If you want to use a let's go cue, that's fine. If you want to start establishing a let's go means move forward, you can do it either way. You can either do it with a let's go or without it. But what we are waiting for is for him to look up at me before we move forward, because we want him to start looking up at us when he actually wants to go forward. This is a pretty powerful game. It does help. Once again, if you don't want to use a marker, just count your steps. Just say one step forward and we're going to put it on the ground. But I'm going to use the markers in this so you can see where our placement is. So once again, I'm going to start off. I'm going to put my treat on the ground. Good. He looked up at me, so I'm moving forward. Treat on the ground. Good. He looked at me, moving forward. Yes. Move forward. Treat on the ground. Yes. Move forward. Treat on the ground. Yes. 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 Middle. Okay, so once again, what we were doing is we're walking our little line. We're just taking one step forward. I'm putting a treat on the ground, waiting for him to take it. And what I want him to do is orient back to me by looking back at me. It doesn't necessarily have to be eye contact, just has to be an orientation back to me where he's looking back at me. That cue to look back at me is my cue to take another step forward. If he doesn't do it, then we don't move forward. We just wait for him to take that treat on the ground. We can also just go ahead and add another treat again if he doesn't do it and see if he orients back. So basically what we want to teach him is that looking back at us makes us move forward. As long as he is, paying attention to us and not surging forward, he will get to continue forward and move. But this is a pretty powerful game once again because it is teaching him that orienting back to us is what we should do before we start to continue onward. And once again, that's just a stop and go game used with markers. But once again, if you don't want to use a marker, just count your steps. One step forward, treat, and wait for him to look back. Thanks guys, bye-bye.